Hey!
Today we're going to talk about 20 things we love about living in Portugal.
Number one thing we love about Portugal is that in this country you find our all-time favorite city, Lisbon. And that's where we are right now, and that's where we live, and that is where we are going to talk about the remaining 19 things we also love about Portugal.
There are so many reasons why we love this city that we actually made an entire video about what made us fall in love with it. But Lisbon is that kind of city where you have beauty in every corner of the city. It's still super charming. You feel like some area of the city time has just stopped. And my favorite thing about Lisbon is probably all the beautiful view spots that you have, because you can go anywhere in the city and you will find a hill you can climb and just watch the view from there. And also Lisbon has a very, very special light. I even think the Portuguese call it luz de Lisboa. I'm not sure, but I think so.
They call it Lisboa. Another thing that makes Lisbon our favorite city is that you don't get tired of hanging out in it. There is such an enormous diversity in restaurants, things to do. I'm a person that quickly gets tired of big cities or a big city because it's too much of the same. But Lisbon, it's like there's so many different oases of different things.
Portugal is where you find our favorite pastry or our favorite snack in the world. Pastel de nata or pastel de Belém, because this one is from Belém.
Today there was no queue, so we decided let's have these two puppies. It's not the exact same recipe as the pastel de nata.
This is my favorite version of the pastel de nata.
It's just such a perfect little snack that you can always squeeze in a pastel de nata, and it's not so big that you feel guilty. Oh my god.
Ah, that's hot.
Yeah.
We actually love pastel de nata so much that we made a full video on finding the best pastel de nata in Lisbon. And also I tried to bake these myself, and I'm just so happy that they're only €1, because baking these puppies yourself, that's an art.
It's not bad.
Thank you.
No, the only thing is... No, wait.
Uma pelinha para ti. The third thing we love about living here in Portugal is that it's such a safe country. I don't think I've ever felt this safe, even coming from Denmark. There is a reason why Portugal is the third safest country in the entire world.
It makes you more relaxed and more happy, and I think the best way to describe the safety level here is that even 2 o'clock in the middle of the night, you would probably still take a dark alley without even being afraid that somebody would await you in the end of it. Thing number 4 of why we love living in Portugal is that there are so many beautiful cities in this country. Of course, Lisbon is one of them, but you have so many different. You have Porto, you have Évora, you have all the southern part in Algarve, where you have Olhão, you have Travira, Coimbra in the north.
You are so close to so many amazing places, even when you live here in Lisbon. Most places are maximum 3 hours away. And that is something we take advantage of very often.
By the way, guys, if you feel we are a bit more shy than we usually are on our footage, it's just because we just teamed up with a really professional cameraman, and his camera is a bit bigger than Joen's, I gotta say.
This is not actually a reason, well, it should be another reason what we love about living in Portugal, that the biggest TV station, RTP, are filming us today and making a little report on what it is we do. So that's why we're a little bit shy right now. But Amalie, let's move on.
Just to prove our point about all these beautiful cities that are here in Portugal, we want to show you the prettiest side of Lisbon. Are you ready?
Yes. Put a spell on you.
being in this country is like being in a historical theme park. You have history in every single corner and every single pocket of this country. And the best of it is that Europe might have a lot of history in general, but here in Portugal, all these old castles and cities and churches has been maintained, even though a lot of people don't even know about them.
We've been to just a fraction of all these amazing little towns, whether it be Óbidos, Mavao. We haven't gone to Mavao yet, but Montserrat. There is an endless amount of places that we want to go and that is on the to-do list.
And what is also amazing about these places is that it's not that all these palaces and castles are made in the same century. Some of them are back from Mordish and some are much newer. And I think it's a bit of a shame that a lot of people don't know about them, because a lot of people just come here and then they know about Pena Palace in Sintra, and that's basically it.
Yeah. Which historical theme ride should we take next?
Oh my god, that's difficult because Christmas is coming up and then I really want to go to Óbidos, even though we have been there, but Óbidos, they have this festival during Christmas. Talking about all these festivals that are, for example, in Óbidos, we have already been to 2 festivals, which has been some of the best time we've had here in Portugal. We went to a festival here in Lisbon, that was Santo Antonio Festival. And then we went to the Porto version of the same festival, São João. And both of these festivals has been magnificent, like the way the Portuguese can party.
There are a medieval festival up north where it's actually like they're replaying Braveheart, 1-to-1, you know. Everything is as it was back when William Wallace cut heads.
What will you do without freedom?
But also that just makes that you never really feel bored here. You always have something to do. And I've heard rumors that in the northern part of Portugal there would be a festival in the village almost all the time. There's always a festival in some North Portuguese village, I've heard.
So one of the things I love the most about living in not only Lisbon but Portugal is that the climate here is actually the best in Europe. It's better than Greece, it's better than Italy. Sun 300 days a year. It's such a pleasure to live a place where you don't think about, oh my god, I hate this weather so much. I enjoy winters here, and it used to make me so depressive back home in Denmark when you just have 5-6 months of pure terror.
This amazing weather also makes it easier to enjoy the magnificent nature that you have here in Portugal, because nature in Portugal is first of all super diverse. You have so many different types of landscape in this country. You have Alentejo that is super dry in the summer, and then you have the Algarve with the rough coasters and the white sand beaches, and then you have these amazing nature parks such as Arabira close to Lisbon, and you have Jerez and Serra de Estrela.
Another thing we love about living here is that we have the biggest waves in the world. A lot of people have probably heard of Nazaré, where you literally get the biggest waves in the planet. And it's not just that you have the biggest waves on the planet, but it's also another symptom of the richness of Portugal. This is the best place to surf if you're into that. We're not into that yet, but we want to get into it. So down the road, we're gonna love Portugal even more for the amazing waves. Probably not Nazaré, but going there and watching people surfing, that is actually a bucket list experience.
Our next thing that we like about living in Portugal is also a bucket list experience, and that is visiting the Azores. The fact that you have such a magnificent island that actually is more pretty than Hawaii for most people is insane, because it's so close to Lisbon.
There are 9 islands and we've only visited 1, so we have to explore the last 8 hopefully this year. You always got something to discover, and that's what we love. But there's more, Amalie.
That is true, because Azores aren't the only islands that Portugal has nearby. They also have Madeira, and Madeira will be one of the things that we love the most about living in Portugal. It is a mixture of all sorts of nature there as well, and you even have the small coastal, very charming Portuguese cities on Madeira, and then you have the rough nature and eco Airbnbs where you would stay in a tipi and just be surrounded by beautiful nature.
One thing that is amazing about having Madeira in Portugal is that it's 1 hour and 20 minutes of an airplane, and then you go straight to summer.
You can't talk about Madeira without talking about Ronaldo.
And you can't talk about Ronaldo without talking about Portuguese football.
Football. Before we moved here, we never watched football and we didn't really care much about it. But then we just wanted to try a Portuguese football match. And what happened was that we just fell in love with it.
The way you guys love football, or the Portuguese ones, is amazing, and the atmosphere is like nowhere else we've experienced. So many decisions.
There is one very important thing that we love about living here in Portugal.
Cheers, Amalie.
Saúde.
O vinho branco, o vinho tinto e
Vinho
isto
verde.
indifferente. Vinho é bom. Portuguese wine is quite underrated, because when you look at the wine you get in Denmark, for example, it's always French, Italian, Spanish, and I think it's the same in most of the world, that Portuguese wine is just not very well marketed.
And it's a shame, because we find so many delicious wines from different regions. One of my absolute favorite wines is actually a sparkling wine.
Another thing that we appreciate about Portugal here in terms of the wine is that you have so many wine hotels around the country where you can check in and enjoy amazing accommodation and then just enjoy amazing wine.
Yeah, we have been on a beautiful trip in the northern part of Portugal in the Vineyard area
And Douro Valley.
and Douro Valley, and we also went on land vineyard.
Those trips are highlights
Yeah,
for me.
because it has everything we love:
Yeah,
wine, food, nature, and good accommodation.
yeah. From white wine to something just as important, the food. Portuguese food and just food in general here in Portugal is probably what we love the most about living here.
And not only the fact that the food is delicious, but also the fact that there are such a giant culture centralized about food here in Portugal.
It's also the raw ingredients, the cheese, the wine of course, the meat, the olive oil, basically all the ingredients that they use for the Portuguese cuisine is from Portugal. So you get the best of the best when you're out eating, and that's something that you can taste. One thing I also love about the food here in Portugal is that you have such a large variety of restaurants. You know, if you don't want Portuguese food every time you eat, you can go have some of the best in Indian food, Italian food, and creative dining as well. They have a lot of Michelin restaurants here. By the way, guys, we are eating lunch here at Taberna dos Ferreiros, and it's absolutely amazing.
And Another thing that we really love about Portugal is that even though there are so many tourists coming to this country all the time, there are still a lot of secret spots that you can search for. So there are places everywhere in this country where no tourists have ever set their foot, and it's still super historical, super beautiful and super interesting. So if you get tired of the Venham Tower or this tower or the bridge or any other touristy attraction, you can still be a bit adventurous and go find some of the secret places.
I think for most people, when they think about Portugal, they think about Lisbon, Porto and Algarve, but they don't realize just how much more there is. And we didn't know this until we actually moved here.
One of the places that really stands out, which is secret for tourists, would be the entire area close to Amarant. We went to Zeca and we had amazing food in like a little restaurant where nobody else knew about it. At least unless they were from the area, of course. The best part about all these places is that the infrastructure here in Portugal is so well made that you can actually go to a lot of these places by bus or train or flight or whatever. There will always be a good solution.
But it's not everything that's super cheap. For example, driving to Porto and back is around 50 euros because the highway is privatized. Another thing we appreciate about living here in Lisbon and Portugal is that the people are extremely warm and welcoming. We have never felt not welcome living here. And I think that is important because I think people here are in many ways happy to see foreigners coming to Portugal, because that means that we appreciate their country, which is kind of a pat on their shoulders like, hey guys, you have a pretty nice country.
That actually brings us to the next thing that we like, and that is that the Portuguese, they value their own culture and history and even the country so much. I've never been to a country that were so aware of their own history and that were so proud of their own history.
I think that because Portuguese people have such a passion for their own country and culture and history, makes you also care about it when you move here. I think that this passion makes the people better at preserving their country, their values, and their culture, which is also why they have all these festivals, you know. And I think it's important because that way you won't lose what your country has been. Because I see this happening in other countries, Denmark, for example. I feel like the true Danish culture is slipping away slowly but steadily.
Another thing we like about Portugal is that it is a country in development.
We know that it's not all Portuguese people who love the development that's going on now in Portugal. I know that a lot of you guys see it as a negative thing, you know, but we believe that it will, and it does create jobs. You know, you just take Lisbon as an example. So many new apartment building residential areas are getting expanded, and
new restaurants to hire new people as waiters and waitress. But also hopefully later on it will also increase salaries.
It will happen. Portugal is just behind all the other countries. Let's just hope that Portugal isn't gonna be another Spain.
It won't, because people care.
You got the passion. That's what you guys got going for you.
The Portuguese passion. Last but not least, we have to say that the best thing about living in this country is that we feel extremely privileged and lucky to live here. Back in Copenhagen, we very rarely stopped on a random Sunday walk and said to ourselves, oh my god, this city is amazing to be in, or this country is amazing to be in. But here in Lisbon, it happens at least twice a week, I think.
I don't have the same need to travel abroad. I still want to go other places, but I'm like, Portugal has everything I need.
Yeah, it's a small country made for big dreams. With that final and very cheesy note, we're gonna end this video log. Obrigada por ver no vídeo.
Até logo.
Até logo.
Até logo.
Tchau, tchau.